Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. Can you believe it's Thursday? We are Thursday, January 2020. We're close to the 28th, I believe. Yes, the 28th. I am Lady Caren, your host to Wise 182. I have yet to start Patreon, but I will start Patreon Monday. And yeah, that'll be interesting. How are you guys doing? Okay. Da-dum-da-doo-doo-doo. Uh, so, if this is a good day for you to ask questions, you could ask questions. I'll do a tarot reading. Not awake yet? That's because I have 101 things to do today that I'm not awake. You ever notice that? Yeah, I have no idea if the setup's going to work. No, I don't know. I'll change it up. But yeah, I'm going to do a one-card tarot reading. If you have a question, love, money, or general, you can always post them in the comments. I try to read like all the comments, but there aren't any normally to read. If it were for Aurora, I probably, and a couple other people, I probably wouldn't have anything to read. But if I go back and right now, so it's pretty much if you comment on this video and you're watching it later, like I'm live in the morning and it's not 6 o'clock, my time later, I will strive to answer it or do a tarot reading like the next day or something like that. I'll work with you guys. But yeah, Aurora's awesome. Like, I think she's the one that commented the most on here. So yeah. And these are free tarot readings. I just get nervous, like when I do a reading for other people, like on camera. Someday I'll get paid for it. But just to pick a card, because there are no questions right now, we have picked, what is this? Reward, 10 of Cups. You do declare. Reward. Okay. And it's reversed, which tells us, I read out of the book, The Sacred Tarot Cards by Anna Franklin and illustrated by Paul Mason. Cups. All right, 10 of Cups. Queen of Cups. No. Knight of Cups. Page of Cups. 10 of Cups reversed meaning indicates that you are well-ordered environment will be interrupted by an extreme fashion, perhaps by the birth of a child or a troublesome teenager. The card heralds family quarrels and loss of friendship. Wow, that's an exciting card to wake up to. Yeah, I did just create, like, I'm sitting here working on this studio, working on things, and most likely But yeah, by a teenager, probably be my eldest daughter. Like, oh, you can come interrupt anything you want. She's my little tornado. I can watch a cleaned up house and I can come back in to a cleaned up house and watch what my eldest daughter has done. The whole activity. It takes like not even 5 minutes. I'm telling you. She's especially talented in that. There will be a trail of stuff. I can tell if she did her nails, or if she had a snack, or if she, changed her clothes. And she can do all that in less than 5 minutes. Yeah, if I had a well-ordered house with that little tornado, I'm like, yeah. She probably gets it from me. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, but yeah. So I've decided, actually, I just kind of threw myself into it. I started a Patreon account and I finally figured out what I was going to do with it. I was just going to preach. Um, it's my strongest suit. It's my faith. I need faith. So therefore, I figured everybody else needs faith. So I don't know. If I lose a whole bunch of followers with it, it kind of makes Patreon kind of stupid. With 15. Oh, that's why I have a scratchy tag. With 15 subscribers, I and Aurora probably being the only one who watches on the weekdays. I don't know. I'll experiment with it. If nobody does that, I'll probably switch the $2 tier to the weekends for Patreons and the weekdays for just regular YouTube. Or you could comment and be like, no, I can't pay for that right now until after I get out of debt. Because I know what it's like to be like in debt and like $2 can make you or break you. Um, but not everybody's like that. I just treat everybody like they're like that, where $2 can make or break a person. That's why if I find, $1 on the subway, I make sure I don't go on the subway. But an example of if I find $1, I make sure it gets to the person. I don't just keep it. I don't think we don't have subways here. um, the yep, that's. What are these for? I thought they were for the hangers, but what do you do with them while you're wearing them? Because you don't hang them on you. Shirts with the weird plasticky loops. But yeah, I don't know. This It's an idea that I'm going to experiment with. I'm like, here and go. This is what I'm doing. We'll modify from there. Uh, I noticed that being more assertive, I'm open to people giving me feedback, but the thing is, I'm not so sure if I'm presenting myself as open for feedback. Like, that could be a problem because nobody's giving me feedback. I'm like, oh, am I just like on the spectrum and they are giving me feedback? I just don't know it. That's something that bothers me. Doesn't bother anybody else. It's not their problem. But it does bother me. So, put the tarot cards away. But we are working on becoming successful in this, and we had all this stuff planned. I was going to go on a trip. I was going to have a relationship with a person for the rest of our lives. Like, it was something to work on. Something, even if I was upset, I was going to work on it. But no, that person has a point where they quit listening and then they believe I'm doing something completely else and wonder why I don't listen to them. They quit listening to me. There's no point to listen. So that's the hardest part is when you're in a relationship and you want them to last, you gotta meet. I've been noticing a formula. So it's one, you've got to communicate your expectations. So if they expect it to be one way and you expect it to be a different way, um, it's going to be very difficult, especially when people don't get their expectations meet. We have a way of mourning things. We have an expectation, it doesn't get met, it really upsets people, and they tend to mourn it. They tend to go through all the stages of grief with, debating, with anger, with sadness, with all sorts of different combinations at different times, and it's fascinating and horrible all at the same time. So when you set somebody up for an expectation, especially with children or with young people who are learning how to navigate our world, um, took 2 years, and my youngest, she figured out how to do a lot of the things that were expected of her that was already routine. She's like, "We do this, this, this. I know it's coming. This is how we have it." Um, she's very confident. She's very assertive. And it's great. Um, and that's what people like, not just children. But when you're working with children and you think children are acting up, it's because they don't know how to translate the fact that their expectations are not met. If you tell them we're going to have um, a walk to the park or something after lunch and you don't do it, and you tend to do that more and more often, the way people react to you, um, by that when you're not consistent or you don't follow through, gives you, like, you lose street cred. You lose the ability to, they lose their faith in you. They stop listening to you because, oh, that's not going to happen just because you said it's going to happen. So, um, between like raising a kid, bringing expectations, or having a relationship, you want to work on your expectations. You want to open up communication, but then you also have to comprehend this communication, and this all grows trust. Uh, and having a little bit of trust, from what I've interpreted, the world telling me is that you've got to have trust in the first place. So I look like the stupid, gullible person when um, the trust is broken because I'll give it like completely to you. I figured I expected the same from other people. They can't do that. Um, so what can go wrong in a relationship is when we don't communicate, and then comprehend our communication, and that can go very awry in any form of any relationship. It's not just people that you know you're uh, marrying or not marrying, and so a lot of things with that is that there's a lot of give and take in a relationship, and a lot of people will be from different places, and when you mesh together, it's great. There's a lot of, like, when people talk about compromise, a healthy compromise versus an unhealthy compromise. I could tell you what works because I could tell you what doesn't work. Expert on advice because I know where it doesn't work. If I were to apply knowing what works with my partner, I had no idea that my partner something else that he wanted. I mean, if you have this I'd rather have something else, and you keep leading the person on, it kinda makes it so that, you know, you're still stuck in this other relationship you don't want. Uh, you know, and it's stupid to give them that illusion. Really stupid to give them that illusion. I mean, and I was told it's what I do, not what I say. And so when I started paying attention to the doing instead of the saying, a lot more came clear. Um, so being open with a person and understanding not everybody is able to be open to other people. So yeah, you've learned I've got to be open with, my expectations, with my needs, with my wants, with my who I am and what I am, and the other person. Like, is that going to actually work if I'm open? Or is it just going to go horribly, horribly wrong? Like for me, it went horribly, horribly wrong. But I know, consciously, I know, um, I'm not getting in another relationship. But if I form another, like co-op, I guess, um, or cohabitation, getting a roommate or, somebody to live with, um, without a relationship involved, without a romantic or intimate relationship involved. There's always a relationship. I mean, relationships don't have to be uh, romantic. Um, I lost my train of thought. Uh, does it look like I'm trying too hard? Because I am. uh, it doesn't mean that I don't have it. It just means that I'm taking a breather. Uh, a lot of times when I say I don't know what I'm doing, I didn't realize it scared other people. They're like, they freak out and they're like, here, something. I'm like, no, I should have phrased it differently with like, I'm just intuitively going with this. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, going intuitively with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm just gonna do Patreon. We'll just go with this and see what happens. And I believe Patreon is usually something that supplements something already going on. And I'm like, let's just do Patreon. I don't think I have enough base to start a Patreon. I think I just went, let's just start Patreon, which is a subscription based where you can support artists who want to do their thing. I guess there's preachers on there too, who want to do their thing. This way, this helps pay for, like supplies, helps pay for them to live. It helps them to just be able to follow their dream. It's their source of income so that they can be the bosses, so that they can produce. And all they have to think about is producing um, product or service. So for me, yeah, all I want to do is be here and take care of the kids and do my thing. And I don't have a niche. So my thing is writing. My thing is I'd love to read out loud voiceovers. It apparently is my thing. Hi, second participant. I'm sure that there's more on here or more playbacks. It just doesn't show on the. I don't know. It's weird. Um, but yeah, just being creative, doing my tarot reading. I have to live with being spiritually gifted. Um, Whether or not that's cursed or gifted, that I still live with it every day. It's who and what I am. Um, I believe that if I were to receive a subscription amount, that would allow me to to not have to worry as much about, um, dealing with dealing with an environment of, other people day in and day out. Um, uh, I have the ability to go to work, I believe. I tried. I've tried for so long to go to work. And when it became more in gas and more in everything else in order to get to work, it was costing me more to work, especially if I had kids. Um, breathe. That I want to just stay home. I don't know how this camera angle is going, but it's steady. See, when I touch this, you're not shaking. Uh, let's see. So yeah, my thing is, yeah, I don't have to live with being psychic. And there's some days that, I used to work fast food. I worked the retail industry, and I worked, gas stations and cashiering, um, and studied all that stuff about business, to do. And I still have to figure out how to run a shop. I still have to get in there and do it. And I still have to, um, build. And building it on my terms is a bit easier than somebody already like, oh, you come into work, you do this, you do that day in and day out, because I'll get that rut day in and day out, and I'll be like, I'll feel that call. And if I have a spiritual like epiphany, or I have one of those where, it's a message, and I'll sit there and I'll go, that's great, but I still have to get this done. And what's more important? Uh, and I could take time to address, like, the way I interpret it is that the subconscious is pronouncing and, like, grabbing my attention, my conscious attention, going, listen here, look at the information that I just pieced together. Um, the pattern I just formed. You have to understand this. And a lot of people can wait until they fall asleep and have a dream, and your body does that. I don't know if there's something wrong with me that my body doesn't go, hey, look, let's have a conversation while I'm sleeping. And subconscious could be a charge. Like, no, my subconscious goes, right here, right now. We have a pattern formed, and I have this figured out, and you have to know this right here, right now. Um, so it makes it like messages from God, messages from Gaia, messages just from divine, and messages of just knowing. And it's just like there'll be a weird expression on my face sometimes. I notice I caught myself in the mirror and like, that's not an expression. People can't be comfortable with that. People that I meet for the first time, a lot of times I'll get this all at once, this info about them, and it's rather disturbing. I get the good, the bad, and the everything, if they're very open. Occasionally, and so I've got this like face, this I'm walking into a wall face, and I'd like to be able to pay attention to that. It would make my life easier to take 5 seconds, write everything down, draw it out, work it out, be creative about it so that it gets out because it's important. And then go on about my life and go back to, and, be like, okay, I'm here doing this work that needs done. Or, all right, guys, kids, we're doing, we did Legos, and it's creative and choose. You get the most important lessons when the kids are like playing with Legos, or the kids are playing with, just playing together. And it's, my youngest is the whole, this is mine, you can't have this. I'm like, let's address this. But in a way that makes her feel like, okay, this one is a trust issue. When kids hoard, It's they don't trust that they're getting it back, or they don't trust that it could be different for all kids. They don't trust that they're getting it back. They don't trust that it'll be back in the shape that that it'll be broken, or or that they won't have access to it again. Are times that kids are in that moment, they're in that time, it's theirs right now, they're playing with it. And so one way to address that works for my kids is okay, well, I have her sister go and work out with her. Oh, are you going to be done with that in about 5, 10 minutes? Can we share? A lot of times it's a time issue, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll be done in 5 minutes," and this "Mine, you can't have this," all of a sudden turns into, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna finish with this, and then you can have it," as if that mine didn't even occur. Like, "Okay, sure," and sometimes with kids, it's a trust that, I won't break this. I'm gonna play with this and you can have it, you know, when you get it, or there's a chance, or there's a time that you'll get it later, or we will come back to this. We will make time or a commitment to come back to this. Well, tomorrow after dinner, we'll play with these again. We'll see them again. Let's say goodbye. And that's a beautiful gift when a kid can say goodbye to an activity or a person or an object that they're going to see again. That gives them a lot of, like, instantly you could see the boom. Oh, okay, bye. I'll see you again, instead of no, 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 screaming and yelling it. And then another thing was, these are actually my Legos. Their Legos are at their dad's house, which now belongs to their dad. Um, so I have to share my Legos. And yeah, so I have to trust that all the pieces are going to go back into the box, because I'm already found pieces and I'm like, there's these teeny tiny pieces. And I normally let details slide in order to survive and thrive in life. But there'll be times that I am detail oriented. I need to practice that more often. But there'll be like this detail built up. Like, if you don't have that, you can't build this, you can't build that, you can't. I'd like to get everything. And for me, as much as I categorize and organize, like Legos by colors or Legos by sets or Legos by, individual kind of thing, which helps me in my OCD, and there's other things that I work on. It helps give me, that little bit of like 10-minute activity gives me a little breathing room throughout my day. So that's why I like having a Lego set as an adult, because as much as I'm a visual person, making a connection with something um, textile is important. Making sure that I take time, like for my youngest, I'll have lap time with her, where she's playing in water, playing in dishes, playing in, something, working with, where she can be all messy, once a day at least. So I need to have my lap time, and it translates. The fact that we think of Legos as only kids' things and da 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 they can't play with is wrong. That's bias. That these are things only for kids. It's bias. We translate, coloring with crayons, into, as you get older, working into these beautiful works of art, with oil pastels, or some sort of other medium. It's a great activity to go down and sit down with the crayons and work on things like shading, work on things like, work more with the medium of crayons every once in a while. And you don't have to sit there and make a basic coloring thing. You've gained more skills the more often you've colored, that you can create a regular picture. What I did was I'd started. Yeah. I started this color of this picture of a bee, It's big ol' it was one of those big poster coloring pages, and the kids helped me. But, I was working on it where I made instead of the basic just coloring, yellow and black on a bumblebee or something, I had started taking the yellows and the blacks and making strike marks with the crayons that made it look like realistic fur or the fuzz on an actual bee, and you can make it. And I started with the shading and stuff like that. So it translates from coloring isn't just a kid thing. Coloring, learning the basics is something to build coloring on. Learning to be artistic later on. I mean, so these things that were like, oh, this is just for kids, or this isn't for, you know, if it's not good enough for you, why is it good enough for your kids? So coloring, doing, you do need to play ball every once in a while and to do, things that you used to do as a kid. I mean, it's still there. The growing the gardening, the growing. This is amazing, by the way. I have flowers. I've never had a plant last this long. It's amazing. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Gardening. Check this out. Right here. This one, this. Check that out. The squash. It's out of season, but I wasn't expecting it to grow. It's a different aspect. There's many things that I've worked on improving, and I'm starting to see the results, like the fact that I can grow plants. And the fact that it doesn't have a "I'm dying," and "Alright, I'm starting to go back, I'm dying, I'm starting to go back, I'm dying, I'm starting to go back." This sucker is thriving, and I saw that some of it wasn't working, so I put the eggshells in for the pH level in the soil. It's just the fact that this can grow is amazing, because that means these other things in my life that weren't going because the basic of watering every day or having an everyday thing or having a, check on you know, the acts that you do in order to make plants grow can translate to the way you represent your actions in life. The fact that I can work with a plant and it's not like one of those dandelions that like can grow in concrete. So the fact that I research more and I learned more and I go for it, and what I'm going to do is pollinate it, get out an acorn, and save those seeds to grow it in season outside like it's supposed to. But the fact that I can grow them inside is out of season. It just strikes my mind. It's amazing. The fact that I could type, I can't type as well as other people who do it for years on end or do it career wise. But the fact that I could type is still magical. As I said, I sit there and I write. I love typing to write because I can't believe I could type. It's such a abstract concept that I would be able to do something like that. It's so foreign, but it's amazing the fact that I can learn, and then the fact that I can still get my fingers to move and do. It's limited. I still have more experience to gain from typing, like the numbers up on the top or the strange keys that are less used, um, or to place them back on. If I use the number pad on the side to get them back on, but to write a little bit faster typing, it's amazing. I didn't think I could do that. I took classes at an adult ed while I was getting my TET for secretarial stuff. So I, you know, I thought about doing more. I'm going to try again for more secretarial stuff that I can. Oh, what was it called? Fancy hands or something like that, where I could do it on my own terms. And so I'm going to try that again. Um, I would have to get. I don't want to get Excel and Word and Microsoft Office, but if that's what it takes to work in the real world on, it's just to bring an income. But the thing is, it devotes time away from these other interests that I have in order to make income, arts and crafts and sorting through my life. So I put that on hold. I'm prioritizing. The kids are coming first, because that's the whole point of all of this. And then Patreon makes it so that other people can do what they're doing. So to be able to preach or to do things or to, here's how I'm helping my kids. This might help you. Um, Post that on Patreon kind of content too, or just doing the regular stuff on Patreon and then on YouTube showing people in my crazy life, this is how I handle kids. And because I've had compliments that, that my kids are so well behaved, or this is amazing. How do your kids all do this? And to me, it's extremely basic. And the fact that I've noticed a lot of things in our society, we we normalize certain behaviors that I feel are unhealthy, and I feel like do more harm than good. And I'm like, that shouldn't be normal. That shouldn't be a thing. And um, so I work with the kids, like, here, let's do this way, and we get a good result, and then they get a compliment, and I'll tell them it's all on the kids because it is. The kids are doing great. It's them. The kids are, great kids. Um, it is the amazing kids that I have. But I feel like people ask me for this advice, so I feel like that advice is needed out there. So I'll just put that on just YouTube. But the fact that if Patreon were to pay me, if I were to have um subscribers paying me and helping me do that, I can focus on that and bring that content here. Getting organized, having this trouble with not being organized, not being where I want to be in life, and going, because I have this attention deficit disorder, this bipolar, this craziness, this trying to figure out here and a now. I mean, for all I know, it's just schizophrenia that I don't have diagnosed, and going, oh, this time, and why does it feel like this is like 1820 and, I'm not here and I'm not now, but this feels, or this room feels antiquated, or this room feels futuristic at the same time, or why can't I just say lights and have the lights turn on like something out of Back to the Future? It's a feeling. It's not how I consciously, I know, but subconsciously, or that feeling, that intuition, that inclined, that I feel like, I bet you back in the Paleolithic times or Neo-Paleolithic times, they probably just did it this way, and they probably didn't have half of our problems that we have. And I'm like, we should probably go back to see how the originals did it. The original, like, inventors of the whole concepts. And then other times I'm like, we need to invent a way to make this better. And yeah, that's what I said to the hospice lady last night, was surprisingly that they had better health care than the actual healthcare system. um, it's like sometimes I think if we sit there and reinvent this to invent that, to take care of this, to take care of that, it feels like, she's like, well, we have a medicine for this and we have a medicine for that problem. I'm not going to discuss what the problems are. That's nobody's business. But she's like, if you're comfortable and you don't need that medication, I won't even bother, because you don't. We want to do as little medications as you need. So I'm sitting there, that's amazing, because in my mother's younger years, for certain medical situations, they wanted to give her certain medicines. And then when that medicine had a side effect, uh, they wanted to give another medicine for that side effect, which would give a side effect that they wanted to give another medicine for another side effect. And to tell you the truth, the Result I got was a zombified mother, and she met the requirements at that particular time in the medical field that said, as long as she responded, she was good. And that was not okay with me. And that, I think, was a big start into alternative medicine. I'm not saying that you should only have alternative medicine. I'm not saying you should have only what we deem as Western medicine. I'm saying you should have a balance. I'm saying you should have good health. Yeah, that is my belief, is good health. So in order to do that, working between the two, for me, I go through steps. Like right now, I'm taking care of my gut health and exercising, and I'm going to see what symptoms are left. And then those are the symptoms I'm going to talk to my doctor about and let my doctor know, this is my lifestyle, this the symptoms that I'm having, what should we do? And that way I can approach the doctor with a sense. That way it's less likely for me, less likely to be misdiagnosed. That's what bothers me is that because you're having a symptom that could have been dehydration, lack of cognitive, and something else, and they give you this medicine. And for example, an example of lack of, comprehension or memory loss and da 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 da, and they start going in on, you know, all this other stuff, and it's simply you haven't been hydrated, and you had, and you didn't know, and then they start going all this stuff for it and putting all these great, medical treatments and testing and things, and to me feels stupid. Whereas the person's hydrated, but they're still having, say, symptoms of fatigue. So that you can know right away, you know, that once they're hydrated, they're on, and the doctor can be, well, this is a problem with fatigue and da 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 da. That way you can get an accurate assessment. Just to be straight with a physician. And right now, with the way healthcare was, I don't know, with Obamacare, and I was not happy with Obamacare. Um, but it's probably because of the way it was trimmed and put together. Um, we need the privatizing healthcare or has its plus and minuses. And the thing is, does it work for us? Politically, does it work for us? So as I'm not going to say much on politics. I'm just saying that I didn't like that. Doesn't mean if you liked Obamacare and it worked for you, that's fantastic. Um, I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you. I want, more people to be able to be happy with the way life is and the way, but yeah, I talked. I just talked and I just let it out. And I just usually this is a brain dump. I just break things down. Um, I didn't get very far today. Uh, Rambled. If you like the rambling and it's just something to listen to like in the background, that's fantastic. Hit subscribe and I can ramble for you all you want. Hit the like button for content that you like. Uh, Anytime that you hit that like button, the funny way that YouTube algorithm works, yeah, hitting the like button helps me. You get more of me. Um, Hitting the subscribe button if you haven't done it gets you more of me. Gets you more of my rambling, gets you more of me trying to work out this crazy life so that if you're in that situation or you know somebody in that situation, you can watch more of the details instead of, oh, I did it. I'm successful. I'm great. Yeah, you get to see, oh, that's an actual struggle, as ugly as it is, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's very real, and you still overcame it. Um, but while it's happening, Is that something you want to talk to about with your loved ones because they don't react well? It's funny, they panic. They do. They so panic. It's just like, I'm like, this is not permanent. Everything's going to be okay. Um, I'm just gonna work on it. The question is, I wouldn't mind a sounding board on, hey, here's my options. What do you know about, has anybody else tried this? It's just so to them, it doesn't sound like I know what I'm doing. So I've never been allowed to be in charge, but the more I've been in charge lately, it's like, oh, so you just tell them, hey, tell me more about this or that instead of, hey, what is this? What is that? Trying to not hurt their feelings, to be more assertive. Um, or you can even, hey, let's discuss, or hey, like drop the us, but working on how to approach, working on the reaction of how we do things has been very big for me. Um, and to know that I'm stressed out while I'm reacting has been, it's something you gotta consider. If you're stressed out and you gotta factor that into your reactions, you know, um, let's see, what else? Rambling, more rambling. Let's talk about next. We're at 55. All right, so we could talk about tomorrow's. Yeah, since I won't go on to Patreon weekly. If you feel like you'd like me to switch the Patreon from weekends on Patreon and special treats to Patreons only weekends, and weekdays you want on YouTube for free, uh, and I can work with that. That gives me more feedback. I would love to, if I'm comfortable with it and I enjoy it, give me your ideas. And I would love to do more of things that we both love as as the people watching all this content, as a viewer, as, I don't know what to call you guys. I'm still on that you're not, you know, like, hey guys, hey viewers, hey lovelies, hey, I love lovelies, but that's somebody else, calling they're cute and they're cuddly and they're a wonderful cook and they say lovelies, and she's one of my favorites. Emma Maid, um, big fan. Uh, we're not collabs or sponsors or anything like that. I'm not sponsored. So, and I'm not associated with anybody. So, all these things that the Wesco Cup, I'm not associated with Wesco's. They don't share my ideas and my beliefs. If they did have anything in common, it's not, I'm not associated with any of this stuff. I use a Chromebook. I'm not associated with Chromebooks either. I don't have anybody sponsoring me. Uh, who would I wouldn't mind taking sponsors that I can believe in. Sponsors that can believe in me. Groove is awesome. I can't afford Groove. But yeah, people that listen to me spiritually, beliefs and stuff like that. Eco-friendly. I'm a hippie. I would take eco friendly sponsorship. Um, let's see. Yeah, it's sponsorship that allows me to, on my grounds, sponsor them instead of, hey, say this, say that. A little give and take. If I'm sponsoring you and you're sponsoring me and I'm promoting you, let's make it an equal footing. um, yeah, I probably, let's see, what else? Yeah, I've been working on trying to be making money right now. That's been the biggest thing. That'll probably be tomorrow's discussion. Working on bringing in income, getting out of debt, because the funny part for me is highly sensitive. I was watching about highly sensitive people. Um, it's a possibility I'm highly sensitive, autistic, something, maybe even combination, who knows? For me, it matters where my money comes from. It matters that it's something that, I mean, sure, you need $100 to survive. You need this money, take it. It's not going to get me to earn and do things my way. And because I said so, is not going to, I'd rather starve, die, and cut off my own arm, whatever, instead of take your money. So I am picky about it. Beggars can't be choosers. I am, I've learned that beggars are worth something and I'm worth something and I'm not begging. I'm opportunistic. That to me, um, if it's not worth taking your money, it's not worth it's not worth living for. It's not worth taking. It's not worth, I'm not gonna die. If you don't give me money if you don't give me money, I'm not gonna die, but it's not really your problem or your responsibility. If you'd like to contribute and you'd like to help out, um, yeah, that's a different story. So I'm not going to position anybody into it. To me, it's like it's hard to ask for money because I don't have money to give. And if I can't see me doing it, if I can't see me investing in it, then it's hard for me to ask, "Oh, take this, give me money and I'll give you this." So to me, I have certain things that I haven't been able to get over. Um, I don't just take money. Where the money is coming from, why the money, um, and what the money is for is vitally essential to me. Um, it's odd. It's very odd. I'm sure I didn't articulate at all the last 5 minutes any of that. I'm sure it came off in a different light. um, I'm pretty sure I probably put negative first. I do. I do put negative first, and then I work on the positive. I get the negative out of the way. I give the bad news first. I give the why I don't like something first, or the hey, uh, that's just because when I have positive, I go super excited. Oh, yeah. Um, super, super, super excited. So if I'm gonna go excited, I'm gonna go excited all the way. And I've been working on not being so excited that it's a problem. Because my friend, she keeps talking about my homemade products or my upcycled products, and the last time I noticed that I didn't engage. And she's just this wonderful person, and I noticed her reaction. That's what made me notice that I didn't engage. She looked away or looked aside or something, and I realized I am not, and trying to not be over zealous. I think I totally utterly muted. So it's like, because I'm like, yeah, we could save the environment. Yeah, it's amazing to be able to work with your own hands. And it's I could go off on hours and hours and hours how excited that I am. And I'm scared that I'm just going to scare the crap out of her. She is, I don't know if she's an introvert or just a constant or if she's just how she's a sweet sweetheart and I love her. And, as a best friend. And I'm like, she's good. I've messed up relationships of friendships in the past just being myself, and I don't wanna screw it up. I don't know all your social cues of somebody who doesn't have problems, and I gotta go. So, yeah, so I'm trying to learn, navigate, and have what's okay for me become an okay thing for everybody else. And that's a lot to navigate. And I'm learning that it can happen. So I will figure all that creative energy out. Um, Yeah, like, I don't know the frequency that people interact with each other. I used to go over to somebody's house, like, every day. I think I annoyed the crap out of them, when I lived in another state. Like, it wasn't my intent. Stayed over there all the time. I'm like, I don't know how often people, hang out with people. Um, yeah, that's social norm. That's I can hang out with you forever and just like constantly be your companion. Like, or I could give you time and they still don't respond. I've asked more than one. I think it's my way of asking how often people should interact with each other. I think it's a social interaction, I believe, is a comfort zone. A beginning to learn is a comfort zone. And so yeah, I can easily scare people off with being an intense person. Um, so for me, um, I've I still have YouTubers. I still have people that subscribe. I still have people that watch, and this just amazes me. I'm not getting a "Hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that" from you guys. Um, so I'm like, okay, well, let's just go with this and see what happens. And so I'm really finding me so that I can be something for you. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and head out because we gotta go. I love you guys though. You guys are amazing. Yeah, it's just like I didn't realize. Now I'm realizing how much I appreciate you guys clicking and viewing and your like buttons, your comments. I'm sorry if you're like, 5 years old and I'm scaring the crap out of you. This is not for kids. um, but like, yeah. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys. Bye. Love, 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 love you. You guys have a good one. To the next video.